Welcome to the Woman Who Lift podcast.
Cool.
Hello, Casey. How are
Hi.
you?
I'm pretty darn good. It's
Good.
early here, but I'm a very early riser anyway. So I was already up.
It's 12 o'clock here, so it's lunchtime.
Yeah.
So thank you for coming on and chatting to me. So I just start by introducing yourself. Tell me who Casey is.
Oh dear. I am from, my name's Casey. I am from Southern Ontario, about an hour outside of Toronto, in Canada. I am very nomadic though. So you'll find me like literally all over the world. People have a very hard time keeping track of me, and I have a hard time keeping track of myself. But I'm a competitive powerlifter. I have been competitive for that's got to be 5 or 6 years now. I've done 6 federation competitions. I've done a whole bunch of mock meets. I compete at the world level, everywhere from the world to local levels. And what else? Oh, I own my own strength and nutrition coaching business. So I've been doing that for my own personal business for a couple of years now. And I'm also a mechanical engineer, and I work as an administrative assistant for a company called Prescript as well. So I'm busy as a bee with work, but I don't do anything that I don't love to do. So everything is passion projects with people that I love.
That's good.
Yeah, and I'm also an equestrian. I hike. I love the outdoors. So yeah, lots of pieces. Powerlifting is my main thing now. Training has always been my main shtick once I got it in and got addicted.
How did you get into powerlifting?
Oh, okay. So I actually come from a background of under eating. And when I've always been really, really active. I did sports while I was a kid, and I always had like 3. My mom's rule was I could only have 3 things going on at one time, because she's like, I can't drive you to more than 3 things in the week. So she's like, no more, like 3, that's it. But then what happened was, when I went to school for engineering, we had like 46 hours of class alone, not including all of the work we had to do outside of class. So you literally just didn't have time. And I got super afraid of like the freshman 15. That's kind of when, like, the summer before university was when I started really into my restrictive eating habits, because all of my activity was taken away by school. And I was like really self-conscious. You're in a new environment with lots of people who are older than you, and you're like, body image is a big thing, and like personal image is a big thing. And I was a very different person back then, like very different person. So I was very much into restrictive eating and overtraining. But basically I started off really not in the strength training space. I started off like running lots and lots and lots of cardio, because that's the magic, that's the thing, right?
That's
to
it.
like
Yeah,
lose
that's
weight.
what everyone tells you to do. Just run.
You don't eat and you run around. That's what it is.
Run a 10K on a banana.
Okay, no, that's literally what I would do. Like literally, I would come home from class, I would eat a banana, and then I would go for an hour run.
Yeah,
I'm not kidding. Yeah, right.
Think to look at me, but yes, I know the feels.
It's like, it was literally that. I believed that fats were like the devil.
Yeah.
And that was my thing. I wasn't on the carb train. Carbs were okay, fats were not.
Yeah.
And then basically I slowly kind of got introduced to the like resistance training thing, and the idea of like toning back then, right? I was like, all right, I don't want to just run around. And as soon as I got into,
then was like cellulite, wasn't it? That was the whole big thing whenever I was growing up. Cellulite.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I slowly got into like the booty workouts and the core workouts and the this and the that. And to be honest, it was a very slow progression into strength training. And I was still under eating at the time. Definitely. But I started to learn like once I started lifting weights and like figuring out being stronger, I was like, why am I running? Why am I doing this? I mean, kudos, power to anyone who enjoys running
Yeah.
because it's great. But like, I do not enjoy running, and I
No, I used
didn't
to
know
enjoy
that.
it.
Yeah,
It's not fun now whenever you do strength training, right?
well, you just start lifting weights and you're like, why was I running? Why was I running? And I like cardio. I just really hate running. So anyway, I slowly got into that. And then honestly, what happened was I just got connected with some cool people who like started teaching me barbell stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then being strong just got really freaking badass. And I am just like all about the badass stuff. And the other thing I do actually is I dance. I'm a dancer. And people often get very confused when they see me as a powerlifter and as a dancer because those things don't go together. I'm very amateur, but I really love it. But I'm really just all about being badass and like doing the things, like even the engineering thing. Like I'm a little blonde girl. No one expects this stuff, right? And it's just really fun and powerful. And I really love the powerful angle. And then slowly, I just kind of worked my way into getting stronger. And I actually went towards powerlifting specifically because, you know, there's a divide, kind of like you were saying earlier, like, do you want to do powerlifting? Do you want to do strong man? Do you want to do bodybuilding? Like, what's your,
or even
eventually
CrossFit,
you learn, eventually, or weightlifting, CrossFit, whatever. Eventually you learn that like, they're not all the same thing. And you kind of have to, like, you kind of pick one.
And there's different rules for the different sports too, different ways you lift, different, you know, it's you don't realize until you actually start one of them how different they all are.
Very much. Yep. And I actually gravitated specifically towards powerlifting because it got me out of it didn't get me out of, or it helped a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But focusing on being stronger was counterintuitive to all of my bad eating habits. So I had enough self-awareness to like know, you know, that the things you're doing are not healthy, but like you can't really stop it all the time because that's the way the brain works and emotions work, right? So I was like, I can't be a bodybuilder because like the extreme dieting is already feeding my negative habits already in my negative relationship with food. So I was like, I can't, like, I want to be lean and I want to be strong. You can do that in powerlifting to a certain degree. You can't be, you know, like unless you're on stuff, unless you're taking help. You can't be like super lean because it's not productive towards a strength goal. You can definitely be healthy and you can definitely be lean, but like, you know, it was the extreme dieting and bodybuilding to me was like a red flag because I was like, I can't. Like,
it's for me too, from my background, bodybuilding just never quite. I think like hands up to the ones that do it, they're absolutely amazing, but it's just wouldn't have been for not for me either.
And I think it's an incredible sport, and I have so much respect and so many friends who do it. But me just knowing where my relationship with food has been, I just never want to go back to that extreme approach again. And like focusing on what I can do and what I'm capable of more in the world of powerlifting has been like such an incredible tool for me to move forward past that mentality.
So you were saying about the 3 sports your mom took you to whenever you were younger. What was the 3 sports you used to do?
So they rotated depending on the season. I did a lot of sports. So I've always been a horse rider. I've done equestrian. I've been an equestrian for 18 years. I started when I was 9, and I'm 27 now. And so that's always been a consistent, and you know, it hasn't always been every week because like when I was living in California, I couldn't afford it. But whenever I'm home and whenever I'm available, whenever I've got horses and people who are willing to put them at my disposal. So I ride. That's always been consistent. But the other sports I played basketball a lot. I did badminton, a lot of badminton. figure skating, swimming, volleyball. I never really played soccer competitively, but I casually played soccer. Basically, anything with a round ball. If it had a round ball, I played it. That was kind of my.
No, I think too. If you had I know they don't have. There's actually a Gaelic team in Canada somewhere. I can't remember where it is, but my friend was telling me about it. I suppose if that had been even a sport back then, you probably would have been trying that as well. Gaelic
I
football.
love. Yeah, well, so the thing with like American football, I can't play because my hands are too small. I have little tiny child hands. Like I can wear kids mittens.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's like people ask me like, do you hook grip or do you mixed grip? And I'm like, I literally can't hook my thumb. Like, and it's funny because I deadlift like a
Yeah.
lot. Like I deadlift
Yeah.
like over 400 pounds.
And you
And
deadlift,
people are
yeah.
like, and I've never had grip issues. And I'm like, but my hands are like little weeny paw. I have these like spindly little fingers and these weeny little, they're so short. Anyway. But I'm just always been down for like anything new. Like I rock climb, I scuba dive, I friggin' yeah, like I really like trying stuff.
Yeah.
And that's how I got into dance. It was like a fluke try. Like we were in
Do you do any
lockdown.
competitions in the dance for the dance and that?
I did in September I did my first one. And that was phenomenal. We had to pick our song, write our own choreography. It was about 2 minutes long choreography that we had to write, and then perform. And I actually won some money, which was
Oh, really?
yeah, which is
Oh,
hilarious
cool.
because I've never won in powerlifting. There's no money,
Oh, is
so
there
like
not?
no,
Not even
like
if you come first or second or anything, or
it's if the certain competitions will, but
yeah,
those are like private run competitions.
right.
So like I won worlds in 2019 and you don't like I got
Not even a
like
medal.
cool medals. No, you
Yeah.
get cool medals and stuff.
Oh,
But
well.
you get medals, but it was funny because I was like I texted my coach and I was like, "Hey, I've officially won more like free dollars dancing than I
Oh
have in
my.
like 6 years of powerlifting." And
And are
he
you
was like, "That's
sponsored and stuff with a powerlifting too?
no, so I don't do really sponsorships.
No.
I I'm always like very supportive of my friends and my communities.
Yeah.
But I'm not sponsored. I don't really seek that out.
Yeah.
Uh, it's not really something that I desire, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like if I have friends who want to give me a shirt, like that's cool.
Yeah.
Like I'm happy to like rep shirts and rep whatever. And I just, I have a really awesome and very large community in the powerlifting space. And so I just do my best. I just do my best to like tag and support everybody that's around me. I'm like everybody's free advertiser.
I suppose too, though, whenever you love a sport so much, you don't really, you're not doing it at the end of the day to make money. You're doing it because you love it, and you're doing it because it puts you in the right mental space that you need to be able to
Yeah.
just even cope with life.
Yeah.
you
And
know,
like being able to make money off of it would be amazing, but it's not
yeah,
something that like I train and I compete because I love to.
yeah,
And I do it when it's um like I do it on my own terms. I've done it like my whole life is on my own terms. My mom will tell you that. She's like, we've given up. She's like, you just do what you want when you want to
Are
do
you an
it. And
only
I'm like,
child
yep.
as well, or have you got siblings?
No, I've got a sister.
You have a sister. Is she the same or is she the opposite?
It's really funny. We're very opposite,
Hmm.
but in some ways very similar. And I think that because I grew up being the like golden child. Like I did like everything I was supposed to. I went to the best school for the best thing.
Yeah.
And but then when I graduated and I started working, I really started to swing to doing what made me happy
Hmm.
instead of like fitting into the box of what people said I was supposed to do to be happy.
Yeah.
Because I had an incredible job that anyone would have wanted. And it was amazing. And like, I was so fortunate to work with the people that I worked with and to be in the position that I did. And, but I wasn't happy. It wasn't fulfilling me. And I think watching when I was growing up, my sister she was always like, Casey, why can't you like screw something up? She's like, it's really hard because she's very different. Like she's super artsy And like, she's also a total nerd. We're both total nerds, but like, she's very artsy and I'm very not. I'm very like sports, logical, technical, whatever. And she's like very creative minded. And her creative mind is like, and the things she liked to do were very, very different than me. And she would always be like, it's really hard to be the younger child and like screw things up when you didn't screw anything up.
Are you
like,
the younger child, or is she the younger child?
She's younger.
She's
I'm
younger,
older.
yeah.
So she's like, you just like laid out this red carpet and then I was supposed to like follow it.
Yeah.
And I was like, sorry, I don't know what to tell you. But then after, as I got older, once I was like 23, 24, I really swung. And I really was like, no, this isn't right for me. Like, I need to do what's right for me and not what is defined and outlined.
Pleasing, really.
Yeah, but defined and outlined by my parents, really.
And as much as they try to support you and all that, and guide you, but sometimes you just have to be an adult and take the, as the saying, take the horse by the reins. Is that the saying?
Yeah. Well, yeah, you know, it's interesting because like my parents have always had absolutely the best intentions at heart.
Yeah.
But their context and their frame of reference is different than mine. And they've always
different
been
generation.
Yeah, and they've also, the risks that I take are very different than the risks that they took. And they can't relate to it. Like literally, like if you've never been in this position, you just can't relate to it. Like people are, you know, I move all over the world. I start new communities wherever I go. And people are like, how do you do that? Da, 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 da. And to me, at this point, it's always hard. Like, I hate saying goodbyes and I love the people that I get in contact with. But like, at this point, I'm like, you know what? I've done it before. I'll do it again. It'll be fine. And to everybody else, they're like, oh, I could never do that. And it's like, no, you could. It's not a matter of you could never do that because it's a choice you make.
Yeah.
And like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Like 95, 99% of the time, I have no idea what I'm doing. But what I think makes me different in all of this is that I have a very unwavering faith in my ability to figure it out. Like, I don't need to know what I'm doing. I just need to know that I am totally capable of sorting it out.
Yeah, you just need to have the confidence in yourself, and sometimes that's all you need to take yourself to, you know, to move forward. If you don't have the confidence in yourself, then why are you even doing it? You have to have the confidence to believe that you can.
Yeah, and the other thing that I really want to stress is I did not have this. Like, I did not have this confidence when I started. Like, it took a lot of jumps and a lot of repetitions for you to be like, hey, well, I figured it out before, you know, like, so, but I think, you know, watching my sister, watching me take all these like jumps and risks has helped her to also be much more open to taking risks and stuff herself. Now I'm like, we do very different things, but I'm incredibly proud of her. And we have had very different experiences in life, but again, I'm like very, very proud of where she has gotten to and taken herself. Like, she's done a lot of good things and followed her own path, which is very important.
Yeah. So this nickname of yours, Mighty Mouse, where did who came up with this and where did it come out of?
Oh yeah, so Mighty Mouse actually was like long before powerlifting. I had a boss. So when I was in engineering, he's actually one of my best friends now. I had a boss back, like, I don't know, I was like 20, like maybe around, like, I don't know, 8 years ago. And I was at one of my internships in university. Maybe I was younger than that. I was probably like 19. And he just like saw, I don't know, he saw something in me back then, and he nicknamed me Mighty Mouse because he was like, you're just this like tiny little powerhouse. And he's like, he's like, you don't even know it yet. Like, I think the exact words he said to me were, you don't even know it yet, but you are like one of the most powerful human beings on the planet. And like, you're just figuring it out. Like, he's like, you're going to be unstoppable and you don't even know. so Mighty Mouse actually came long before powerlifting was a thing, and I totally like grew into it.
There's probably not many women in it.
No,
It's probably mostly like male orientated is what I was trying to say.
Yeah, no, like in my class we had 100. When I graduated, we were somewhere around 110, and we had 7 women.
Yeah.
So, and I was the only Caucasian blonde girl, like in the whole, so I stuck out like a sore thumb. Like everybody knew who it was funny because I had people sometimes in my class, like even in 3rd year, who would come to me and be like, oh, hey, da, 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 da. And I'm like, where do I know you from? And they're like, you're in my class. And I'm like, I'm really sorry. I don't know everybody. Like, I don't, but everybody knows who you are because you stick out, like, you just, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, no, it's very different. And it is very, you have to be, you don't have to be a very confident person, but like to be someone who really thrives in such a male dominant environment, it helps to have, like, to be a strong, like, person to be able to speak up and like exist and be successful in that environment for sure.
Have you ever had like moments in work where like you've had men talk down to your arguments or anything like that? Have you ever had that experience?
So I've been really fortunate, but yes, it definitely some of my colleagues have had some worse experiences than I have, but I've definitely been in meetings where your voice is just like ignored. Or like I definitely specifically remember one meeting where, and I had a fantastic coworker when I worked at Google, and I had a fantastic coworker, and he, I can't appreciate him enough. But we sat in a meeting and I suggested an idea for this project, and then it kind of went nowhere. Like it was kind of whatever, quiet. And then 15 minutes later, he literally voiced the same thing. Like he said like the same concept, but he said the same concept. And then everybody else in the room was like, oh yeah, that could work. That's a good idea. And then he literally was like, Casey just said that. Like he was like, Casey just said that like 5 minutes ago. And everybody was like, oh, and I was like, yeah, like, so it's definitely happened. And I definitely struggled with the income portion of it. I was paid less. I know that I was paid less than my coworkers. And part of that is because I'm bad at asking for money. This was like one of my hardest things when I started my own business, was I was like, I don't want to ask for money. So I didn't really stick to my guns on terms of like negotiation and stuff. I'm really bad with that. So, like I've definitely struggled in the pay and also getting promotions and moving up the ranks. That I also watched some of my male colleagues end up in better positions than me. But as far as like direct mistreatment and arguments, like I've been really fortunate with the people that I've been with.
Oh, that's good.
But I personally have work to do on the negotiating and like making sure that I'm taking care of myself, because no one else takes care of me.
It's a learning curve too. Like even like if you're self-employed too with the nutritional coaching side of things. So it's a like I had a business before, well, we only closed it, and same thing, getting pricing things. You don't want to price it overly competitive to somebody else. You don't want to put them out of business. You don't want to put yourself out of business. So it's just trying to find that happy medium. And then you're always going to get people who will be like, oh, you're too dear. Oh, that's too cheap. Or, oh, you're always just going to get them kind of people. But the people that really want to work with you won't care what you're charging. You could charge like the moon and back, and they'll be like, well, I like her. I want to work with her. I don't care.
And you know
that's the kind of people you want.
Yeah, well, and I've really like I keep my client list pretty short because I love my other work. I can't overcommit, right? I have to set my boundaries, and I've been so fortunate. Like I love the clients that I work with. Like everyone is different, but everyone is wonderful. And I've learned through a lot of them, like, and them saying like, I don't care what you charge because you're good at what you do. Like I still won't overcharge anyone, but like whenever I list prices or whatever, like I to people now, I'm just like, you know what, like people who, like, I know that I'm good at what I do. And people who want me specifically will gravitate towards me and will be willing to invest like what is worth my like services. So but it definitely was a learning curve, and it took a lot of time, and imposter syndrome is real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely
So
is.
it's
So
definitely, yeah, it's definitely been a big challenge. That's my biggest challenge for sure from the business side of things.
yeah.
It's money.
With everything that you do, then where do you find the time to train, to meal prep? I'm sure you do meal prep and all that as well, and recovery. Where do you fit everything in?
Yeah. So this is a question that I get a lot actually. So right now, I'll speak about right now, and then
Mhm.
I'll kind of talk about what life's gonna look like.
Yeah.
For the last 2 years, everything's been on my own schedule. Everything. I don't have a 9 to 5.
Mhm.
Um, I work as I want. I only train 4 days a week right now. And I don't want to go back to more than that. 4 days a week is plenty for me.
Yeah.
Um, and I've learned, because I used to do like 6 days a week, and I look back at that and I'm like, how in God's name did you not explode? Um, so I only train 4 days a week. Everything's on my own schedule. I am an early riser. So I get a lot of stuff done in the morning. But none of my jobs right now are full time. So everything is a part-time piece. So I kind
Yeah.
of I will chunk out my day as is needed. And then I fill in my free time with the things that I love to do. Work is sometimes really freaking busy. Like this week, actually, particularly, it's really busy. I've been sun up to sundown, kind of doing something for whatever. It'll be like 5 days straight out of the week. Um, and I mean, I mean, sun up to sundown on some of those days for sure. Um, and, but it's not always busy. So it comes in hard waves, depending on the week, depending on what work I've been sent, and what projects are going on. It just
Yeah.
happens like this week in particular that there's a bunch of stuff piling on top of each other, but that's fine. Um, So I manage it well. I set my boundaries very well. I have a bedtime. I stick to my bedtime.
Yeah.
Like no one interrupts my bedtime. Sleep is like my most important thing from recovery. Sleeping and making sure that I'm eating properly are my two biggest things, and nothing gets in the way of those two things. Like those are my big boundaries, because I know that for me to be able to show up and do good work in all of the things that I've committed to, I need to be rested.
Yeah.
Like I
Totally.
can't, and it's one thing, managing stress has always been a thing for me. And I'm actually going into a big gut health recovery nutritional protocol starting in a couple of months. And stress is going to be the biggest thing. Stress management is going to be the biggest thing. But no one ever has to worry. No, none of my nutrition coaches, anyone I've ever worked with, they don't have to worry about me sleeping, because I'm like 8:30, I'm like out. If I am awake at 9:30, it's late.
Oh, like you
Uh,
go to bed. I suppose if you're up really early though, like what time would you get up at?
I'm
Six,
up
five,
between five
6?
and six.
Yeah. So you would get at least, yeah, you would need to go to bed about 8:30.
Yep.
I'm in my bed
Yeah,
sometimes at midnight. I need to work on
yeah.
my sleep.
It's for me, it's always like I know my training takes a huge hit when I don't sleep.
Yeah.
And to me, like performance is number one.
Hmm.
And I have zero tolerance for feeling like crap. Like I don't understand. I understand, but I also don't understand why. I can't relate to why people make choices that actively make them feel shitty.
Yeah.
Because for me, I'm like, no. Like I want to feel good. Um, so I know how bad I feel when I don't sleep. And one night can throw me
Because
off.
people really underestimate sleep for recovery. The amount like what your body goes through whenever it's sleeping is incredible. Like
Yeah.
it's really
Yeah.
underestimated. And I underestimate it myself. I know I do, but
Yeah.
that's just something I have to put up. What is it? New year, new me. That's on my book.
No,
Sleep.
yeah, sleep is always in every client, whether it's strength or nutrition, it's absolutely number one on my list for everyone. I personally need 8 to 9 hours. If I can deal on a couple of days with 7,
Hmm.
but anything less than that, and I'm a total wreck. And I'm not willing to accept underperforming because I decided to sleep less. Like, I'm not willing to accept bad performance. And for me to make sure that I'm not performing poorly, I need to be sleeping.
Yeah.
I don't like being tired. So
sleep. Do you do any saunas or steam rooms or ice baths or anything for recovery, or just?
Nope. I just sleep and I eat right.
Yeah.
And like as because I'm also a natural athlete.
Yeah.
So I really have to be particular about those things. And at my level, like to continue performing at my level,
yeah,
it's very, very important. I do. So I don't do anything regularly, but what I do like is I get a deep tissue massage. I try to do that once a month.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't always happen. But I try and do that once a month. I've got a fantastic massage therapist here at home that
you packing her with you to go to Australia?
I wish. She massaged my mom when my mom was pregnant with me.
Yeah. So she's a family masseuse.
Oh yes.
She's part of the furniture.
Oh yeah. So I get a deep tissue massage once a month. If I'm feeling really crappy, one thing that I find actually really makes me relax and feel better is I love like hot, like temperature cycling. So like ice bath to hot tub. I freaking love it. And I'll be in the ice bath for like a minute or two. Like I will sit there, and it's a mental game, but I will like soak in ice. And then, and I don't do that. I only do this when I have like the resources to do it. And actually at home, I don't have a place to go here. But when I was in California and when I was living up in Ottawa, there's places that you can go to like have an ice tub and a hot tub. And it's just like your whole, for me, I find honestly the cycling, the like immediate temperature cycling, like into the hot tub, everything in my body just like lets go.
Yeah.
So if I'm really having a hard time, or if I just want to treat myself, that's what I go and do.
Yeah.
So really the only two things are mostly deep tissue massage, and then like if I have the resources, only sometimes I'll do the ice bath. But when I was in California, I could pay $30 and have access to all that. For like, there was a sauna or a place I could go, and it was like $30 for as long as you wanted.
On the one day, or $30 for the month?
No, on the one day.
On the one day.
So I would do it very rarely, but still like $30 to hang out for like 2 hours if you wanted was like sick. So yeah, it's really just sleep and food and not overtraining. I didn't know. I think the biggest thing with especially overperformers or like type A people like myself is like, you don't know what it means to feel good until you slow down and like know what it means to feel better. Because I'm working with a friend of mine right now, like he's like trying to incorporate more recovery and trying to incorporate more rest, because you don't know what it feels like to sleep 9 hours a day until you've done it. And you're like, whoa, why was I existing on 5? Like
I sometimes, like, I work my shift patterns are 12 hours a day, and I do maybe 3 or 4 of them, and then I train 4 days a week. And I don't know how I do it, but 6, maybe 7 hours sleep, maybe less sometimes. I would get up, I would go to bed about 12, 1 o'clock, and get back up again 5, 6 o'clock to go to work.
Do your shifts rotate?
You're right, like you do feel if I go to train then that night, I know like I can't lift half like I couldn't even go anywhere near my PR, never mind like lifting 80, 90 kilos is heavy.
Yeah. Does your shifts rotate, or are they the same time?
Well, I'm agency, so they're mostly the same time. 7:30 to 8:30. So I'm a nurse, so we do long hours over here. It's a bit different everywhere else you go, but
that's hard work too.
Yeah,
like it's not an easy 12 hours.
No.
Good for you.
You do 15,000 steps in one day, just in work.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. It's not easy on the body.
No, definitely not.
For sure. Yeah, that's and what do you train for, like, specifically? Do you do any like do you do powerlifting mainly, or?
No, strongman. I'm a strongwoman. I train for, yeah.
Heck yeah. I love it. Yeah, I love it. I like every once in a while I play with the strongman stuff because it's fun.
Yeah.
Like I was recently just at a gym the other week and I was like, there's a tire. I am flipping tires. I was like, you know that I will flip tires any day. Like, it's so much fun.
You know what I think though, like with powerlifting, they should incorporate some of the like car deadlifts in it. It's still a deadlift at the end of the day. Into powerlifting. A deadlift.
Yeah, well, like I've done truck pulls and I've done tire flips and I've done like a bunch of. I just love it. It's just it's so kick-ass. Like, it's so much fun. Yeah, I love it.
What's your what do you say your PR is for your deadlift?
Oh, so just actually I competed 2 months ago. I weigh about so I'll do kilos. I weighed in at 59.1 kilos. So I compete in a 60 kilo class, which is I weighed in at about 131 pounds.
Yeah.
Deadlift was 195 kilos, so 429 pounds.
Whoa. Would that be like a Canadian record for you, like, or is that a world record for powerlifting, or what way does that work?
It depends on the federation for powerlifting. It's a world record in the federation.
Yeah.
I think that puts me, so that deadlift actually puts me third in my particular weight class in Canada, in Canadian history.
Right.
I know the other two girls actually in the weight class, and they're fantastic people. And that puts me, I think, like 25th all time or 26th all time. So it's
that's incredible.
It's a very good lift. It was a world record in the federation.
Yeah.
But again, like federation records, it depends on the federation that you're in.
Right.
But it will be a hard press for someone to beat that. I mean, I would love to see someone do it because records are made to be broken, but it should stick for a little while at least.
until you break it again.
100%. And it's awesome because I have so much room to go in this weight class. Like, I'm not even optimized. I just actually put on 11 pounds this last year on purpose.
Yeah.
I went up from 56 kilo to 60 kilo. And I haven't even optimized.
And you're only 27. You're not even at your peak of strength yet.
I got so much room to go. That's why I said to my coach, and it was funny because like I went to the competition, and he, like, I hit every lift. It was like 9 for 9, my first 9 for 9 meet, and it was like I decided to compete 6 weeks out, which is like really freaking short, really short. And it was funny because I like decided I was talking to my coach on the Sunday.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh yeah, there's a meet in 6 weeks. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. And he was like, yeah, I'm competing. And so I actually competed with my coach, which is awesome. He was like, do you want to peak for it? And I was like, is that a good idea? Because like 6 week prep is like so short. It's like, you'll be fine, whatever. Like, I've done this enough. Like, it's not new.
Yeah.
It's the best prep I've ever had, the best meet I've ever had, because it was so low pressure, because I was just like, there's no time to be stressed. And all you're focused on is just like, he literally rewrote my programming that day. I started meet prep the next day. Like when I went into that deadlift, people were like, oh yeah, like let's go for the hills, because like I hadn't missed anything.
Yeah.
So coach was like, let's just go for it. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. And then I ended up having like more in the tank.
Is it sumo or is it conventional deadlift you do?
I compete sumo. I train both.
Yeah.
Yeah, I train
both. And in
powerlifting,
is there, can you walk on like the mat and just do any of the two lifts, or so you can do conventional or sumo on the day?
Yep. There's definitely like rules. Like the rules are the same for both, but like the same things apply, like no hitching, full lockout. But yeah, you can do either one. Whatever you compete, sumo or conventional, is fine.
And you aren't allowed to wear grips. It's full raw, like you're just wearing a belt
full
or a
raw.
suit. You don't use a deadlift suit. It's just what do you call the suit you wear?
Oh, the gear, like the it's just a multiply
Oh, is
or
that all?
or
All right.
single
So
ply.
there's no
Like it's
support in
just
that
suit.
whatsoever.
No, so I don't use gear for lifting. I'm just raw.
Yeah.
So just belted. That's it.
So you done that 109, what is it, 195 kilo, did you say?
195. Yeah.
195, and you done that with no straps, just a belt.
Nope. Just a belt.
Wow.
Just me. Just little
That's
me.
class. That is class.
It's fun. I
That's
love it.
like what, quadruple your weight?
No, it's
You're not, isn't it?
3.3.
That's
Roughly.
amazing.
Yeah. I've always been a less good squatter. Means I would say confidently that I am a mediocre squatter. That is where for my level, I would feel like I am okay.
Yeah.
I am not great. Never been great. Won't ever be great at squatting. I have femurs that are 70% the length of my body. And my legs, I have a tiny little torso and these long freaking legs. Bench is good. Bench has actually picked up a lot this last year. I've gotten much better at bench.
What's your PR on your bench?
At competition, it's unfortunate because they misloaded the bar. So what was supposed to be 82.5 kilos, supposed to be, which I've done in the gym.
Yeah.
I did 82.5 in the gym. It ended up being 77.5 kilos.
That's a big miscalculation then on their side.
Yeah, they did. Well, what happened was in the program, they didn't swap the squat bar out, and the squat bar weighs more than the bench bar.
Oh, right.
So they loaded lighter bar like it was the heavier bar, so everything was 5 kilos lighter. Oh. And it was funny. It's like, it sucks because like I should have known, but like they did it for the whole first flight, so nobody noticed.
But then you just trust them to know, to be doing it properly. Like you're not there to be worrying about what weight the bar is, and you know that you're going to be lifting X, so you just go in and lift it. You're not there to be worrying about loading the bar yourself. You're not in the gym. You're in a competition.
100%. But like I totally agree. But like at the same time, I know that my first attempt should have been a red plate, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I was like getting ready to go out for my first press, and I was like, huh, that's funny. But like, I didn't think about it because like, you're just thinking about lifting.
Yeah.
Just like, I can't miss it. Right. But even like, I should have known on the first attempt that my first attempt was a red plate.
Yeah.
But I just didn't, like, my brain was just not there. So you're totally right. But at the same time, I was like, you should have known. Like, you should have known. But it's fine. It is what it is. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
That's it. Before you, if you got like, how do you mentally prepare yourself before lift? Like, do you have somebody coming up and slapping you in the back and saying, yeah, go for it, go? Or are you like this calm person?
I'm super low key.
Yeah.
I am just as friendly and as nice and as like cheery, and like I dance a lot in the gym. So the hardest thing for me on meet day is to like not dance around because I'm trying to conserve energy.
Yes.
So like I have to like literally stop myself from like vibing and like grooving. But no, I'm the same person. The only thing that changes is about 2 minutes before I go on the platform. I got to get in my own head. Like I just kind of quiet the room, or like I don't really want to be chatting unless it's to Stu, my coach, like unless it's to him. I'm quiet. And then I just go up and get business done. Like I just take about 2 minutes to focus in, and like I run the cues in my head, like whatever cues and conversation I need to have.
Yeah.
That's just what runs through. And then I go up and I do the job. I don't need a lot of hype. I hardly use ammonia, hardly if ever. I only use it for my second, sometimes my second, not always my second, but sometimes my third deadlift. I'll use it for deadlifts periodically, but like if I get too excited, I make mistakes. And if I get too riled up, I make mistakes. And I've done it more than enough times on the platform to just not, like I won't anymore. So the more calm, cool, and collected that I can be, the better, like the less likely I am to screw up, and the better I am to perform.
Yeah.
But I do have to have a couple minutes before I go on the platform where I'm just like, I'll stand there and I'm literally just like bouncing back and forth and like talking to myself. All I need. But I'm super friendly meet day. Like I like to make friends. I like to cheer everybody on.
Yeah.
I'm like everybody's biggest cheerleader. And like, it's just, we're chilling. It's not, doesn't need to be, I don't need to get angry. I don't.
No, I wouldn't be an angry person. I don't even know how to get angry, I think sometimes. Oh God, I don't. Do you train around your cycle is what I'm trying to say.
So this is an interesting topic, and I'm kind of glad, I'm glad that you asked the question. I'm in my experience and opinion, every female is different. So I work differently with my clients than I do myself, and that's particularly because everybody's cycle and how they experience their cycle is very different.
Yeah.
Because I've been on birth control for a very long time. I was on the pill for I used to have horrific periods every month. I've always been very level, mood wise, from a I don't have big mood swings. I've always been pretty level headed. But I had horrific pain. I would be bound to my bed for 24 to 48 hours. I was almost hospitalized a couple of times. So I went on the pill very early because it was the only way that Western medical system knew how to handle it. Right. So oh, we have a problem, we'll just medicate you. So I was on the pill for 9 years. And then I switched on to an IUD, and I'm still on an IUD, a hormonal IUD. And when I got the IUD, I stopped having a cycle completely. So I haven't had a period in 3.5 years, because it's been 3.5 years since I've had the IUD. And so I'm gonna talk a little bit about this, because some women will be like, oh, that's amazing, I want that. Right. But it comes with its trade-offs. I've done a whole bunch of homework in the last year, literally both urine analysis and blood work for testing my hormone levels. Because I have some symptoms of hormone imbalances that I would like to fix. And mainly that's actually back acne. I get really, really bad back acne. And it's weird because I don't run as a strength athlete. One of the side effects of steroids is acne. And I'm I don't run steroids. I just have bad acne. And it's definitely my biggest point of self-conscious. For me, there's nothing about my body that I'm self-conscious about other than my back. And so it bothers the hell out of me. So anyway, long story short, that's how I got into this hormone testing and tracking. And what I found out actually is that when I went on to the IUD, my estrogen levels are literally in the tank. So I'm actually post-menopausal in my estrogen levels, but I'm 27.
At 27,
so, and I am working with a coach coming up again, like I said, on the gut health and hormone thing in the next couple of months. And she's like, you need to be aware, and I know enough too about this to know that that's not healthy.
No, because you need a certain level of estrogen in your body to lift weights and peak, and even just to have a normal, as you say, hormonal balance. Same way as women need a certain level of testosterone in their body as well to be able to function.
So it's actually estrogen is anabolic, right? It helps to maintain muscle mass. And also it has massive importance in brain function. So having super low estrogen levels early on in life is linked to osteoporosis and for bone health, and also dementia. So she said to me, she's like, you just need to be aware that the long-term effects of this are not good. And also, obviously I'm infertile. I mean, that's the point of the point of birth control is that you can't get pregnant, but there's no guaranteeing that when I come off of this, that I will regain my cycle because of the length of time that I've been under hormonal control. And obviously I didn't know all of this back then.
They don't tell you this either whenever they put you on a tablet. They're like, just take it, solve a problem. They don't think about, well, maybe whenever I'm between 27 and 32, I want to have children,
I'll just come off it,
or
and it'll be fine.
Just come off it. You'll be okay. Give it 6 months, you'll be grand. 6 years, 7 years later, you still have no kids and you're still no periods.
Yeah, it's horrible. And what they also don't tell you, like, too, is that when you come off of these things, you're supposed to have a plan. Like, there is a plan to help you adjust back to normal hormone function. And like, if you don't have the resources to do that, they just tell you to come off of it.
Yeah.
And then everyone's a fucking mess. Yeah. And it's like, no wonder. Like, this is huge. This has huge impact on how you function and perform and feel, and like your acne and like all of these things, right? So where I'm at in my life right now, I'm not ready to come off and address this specifically. There's other things that I'm going to be working on addressing first, just because, but I'm at least, I know, I am aware.
But there's people that won't be aware that
100%.
You need to have a plan. You're doing everything because you're a nutritional coach, and you've been you've done all the research, and you've went out and looked for the information. Like I didn't even know until I came across Jillian all these different things you need in your life, and how nutrition is so important to get that balance back as well. It's they don't tell you that whenever they put you on the tablets.
Yep. And it's horrible. And like, too, people don't realize, I mean, we could go down the massive rabbit hole, but like aggressive dieting, right? Like you said, like nutrition, aggressive dieting protocols can screw you up long term.
Yeah.
For this stuff, right? Like any freaking fad diet, aggressive protocol that's not balanced is going to throw you completely off hormonally, and is going to actually be a detriment to your long-term ability to gain, lose weight, have kids, like just, it's there's more to this than like a number on the scale. And people are so fed poor information so often, and it's like, you talk to someone and they're like, oh, well, I did this and I did this and I did this, and you're like, have you tried eating multiple balanced meals a day?
Yeah.
And they're like, no. And I'm like, whoa, okay. And they're like, that's it? And I'm like, eat good food and eat all of the different kinds of the good food, like, and it's
like,
very
I tell you,
simple.
I used to live, so whenever I was 16, I used to live off 6 tins of Coke a day. And I used to have a salad with no chicken, no protein, no nothing. It's just like literally lettuce leaves. I think there might have been an egg on it. That would have been my lunch. I would have had no breakfast. And then at dinner, I might have maybe had a sandwich. And I, at that stage, probably had trained football at school, basketball. Then I would have went home. I would have went back down the road then for another 2 hours training session at another football club. And wondered why I had no energy other than living off the fact I was 16.
Yeah. So, I mean, it sounds very familiar to me, like that back in like, well, I would say that 7 years ago, 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Like that's where I was basically too.
You just want to be the people in the magazines when you see them being so skinny and photoshopped.
Yep.
You don't realize they're photoshopped. You just want to look like them.
Yep. And you realize too that like there is literally like there's no fast way. And like with strength too, what keeps me going as long as I'm going in strength and as well as I've done is not like, I don't want to be anywhere fast. Like I'm totally okay just continuing to work very hard and making sure that every day I just try and do better than the last day.
Yeah.
And like, but it's a very long road for strength and for, healthy nutritional protocols and for like leaning out or achieving whatever goals you want. It's not fast. And I'm very honest with everybody that I work with, right? Like, I'm like, if you're coming on with me, like, I don't require long-term commitment, like financially, like I don't need you to sign up with me for a year, but if you're with me, it's going to be a long road, but I guarantee that you'll feel good. Like, right. And we need to feel good and perform well. And in order to also, like, you also achieve your goals in a more productive and fast way if you feel good while you're doing it, right? Yeah. So anyway, but when it comes to training and how it all comes back to training, what I personally experience I'll about 3 times a year, I'll end up like randomly, now that I think that the hormones on my IUD are starting to like slowly degrade. I'll end up with like cramping, and it'll last for a few days. I also tend to have maybe twice, as of now, it's only been maybe once or twice a year, I'll have massive jumps in weight for like no reason. Like I'll just get on the scale one morning and I'll be like 4 pounds up. And then it's like 2 weeks. Like it's like a 2-week hold. And then all of a sudden I'll wake up and I'll get on the scale 2 weeks later and it will just like whoop right back down. And I'm like, I've learned that like that's just inflammation. Like it's just, there's something going on. Like there's a hormonal adjustment, there's inflammation happening. I'm retaining water, like something's angry. And what happens during those times is I'm like just very honest with my coach. He is fantastic. I cannot say enough good things about Stu. All I have to say to him is like, hey, like something's going on. Like he always gets my 100%. He knows that I always bring 100% to the gym, but 100% looks different depending on what day it is and how you're feeling.
Yeah.
Right? Like you don't always have your 150%. Right? So, you know, he's just like, yep, like it's really no stress, right? So understanding that training has to be like these things impact your performance in the gym and your training. And for me personally, because it's unpredictable and it's not like it's not regular, I just know that when I have these times, when I have like either the cramping or the mass, like the jump, big weight gain, like jump inflammation, that I'm potentially not going to perform better. And I'm just like, okay, like I know this will pass, right?
Yeah.
Like all I do on those days, and I've gotten really good at this, whenever stress is really high, you just focus on having a good workout and not necessarily, and understand that like the particular number on the bar might not be what you want, and that's okay. Because it doesn't have to be what you want every freaking day. But that's my situation. Now, the clients that I work with, I can think of one in particular who suffers quite a lot on the monthly with her cycle. However, her cycle is very irregular. So what I do with her is we've worked to communicate over the time we've been working together, and it's not a perfect science, but basically understanding that while you're in that time and while you're having the worst days of your cycle, maybe you don't want to lift weights that day, and maybe it's better to wait until we're over the hump of the worst part of it and like push training by 1 or 2 days. That's okay. We don't have to perfectly adhere to a Wednesday for deadlifts. Like, you know, it's okay because if you feel like shit and you train like shit, you're just going to feel like more shit.
Yeah.
So, but what I do say, particularly is movement is helpful. So I'm like, on that day, I need you to walk. Like if you can get up on your feet, depending on the level of pain, like walk and move, because the blood flow and the circulation, drinking water, getting out and movement, like it can help you. It definitely always helps you feel better. But particularly like you might not want to load heavy that day because you can't get, like, even just creating a brace. Like you can't create a proper like abdominal brace when you're like cramping and bloated and blown up like a balloon. You just feel horrible, right?
Yeah.
So, but movement's important. Like just trying to get that to work its way out. But with her, what I've done is like I generally work on like, you know, we have our build period and then a deload. So we have tried, and I try to get her to communicate with me as much as possible. You know, if she's feeling off or when she's feeling off, to either align her the week that she's having her period with either the deload or the first week. So like somewhere in there. So that way, you know, when she's feeling like crap, we're either deloading or we're on the first week, the load is a little bit less.
Yeah.
The build is like we're not in our heaviest weeks of the month or the whatever the cycle. And that tends to work very well. So I don't think that there's not necessarily hard and fast rule with this stuff. You can definitely get really into the nuances of it if you want. But I find with powerlifting training and stuff, like if you can align cycles with the lighter weeks of the month and just be aware of yourself and listen to your body and take the extra rest if you need the extra rest, because your performance, like you can't perform when you feel like that. I've been there. I've been strapped to my pillow in my bed with a heating pad wrapped around the pillow. And then you're like, crunched over everything. Right. Oh God, it's the worst. So that's kind of my approach to it is, it's a conversation. Some women, again, it doesn't matter as much. Yeah. Like they just don't have, or it's very mild. And then a lot of times if it's mild, training makes it feel better.
Yeah. And has the doctor or the GP suggested you to take any supplements to even help with the hormonal levels that you're not, like the estrogen levels that you're not getting? Nothing at all. No support there at all.
My GP, like I love her. She's great for a lot of things, but the only support that I've gotten is through the coaches that I've reached out to.
Yeah.
I have to pay for that support because the medical system does not. They only know, it's not necessarily their fault.
Yeah.
Right?
A GP is a general practitioner too. So they have a general knowledge of everything. They're not, they're not specific in one thing.
100%. Now, there's two ways that I look at this. It is not necessarily their practice or their fault. Okay, I'm not going to say that it's not their fault because that's a lie. It's not their practice because they are educated in medicating medical conditions.
Yeah.
However, it is also their responsibility to be informed in giving the best care to the people they are caring for.
Yeah.
So they should also be willing to be researching and looking into the same things that the naturopaths and the nutritionists and everything, like that is still information that's available.
Yeah.
Just because you didn't learn it in school, your school, doesn't mean that you can't be accessing that information and giving proper guidance.
Yeah, especially now too with like the internet and Google, like all you have to do is type in 3 words into Google and it'll come, something will come up.
Yeah.
We've so much access to so much, and there's so many little people even use it to that extent.
And like a doctor, like someone who is a doctor, like a general practitioner should also have the education to be able to filter out bad information.
Yeah.
So like, because they use Google just as much as we do. I know for sure they do.
So but yeah, I've actually seen doctors sitting with their phone and work, and they're like, "Oh God, I don't know what to Google that yet." Yeah, you can do that.
My doctor's literally done that in front of me, and I don't mind. Like I don't mind.
No,
you can't keep that information in your brain.
You don't know everything though. Like it doesn't matter how much education you have, you just don't know everything that there is.
Yeah, it's fine. I Google things. It's cool. Yeah. But yeah, like
and you're not saying that because you used to work for Google. I'm just pointing that
out. No, I mean, yes, I actually.
This is not sponsored by Google.
No, not sponsored. Not sponsored. So it's definitely. I will never say that it's not someone's fault because you can always do better. Like it's your responsibility to do better if you're providing care for people.
Yeah.
But it is not their education space to be recommending. But it's like funny too, right? Because you go to your doctor and they're like, "How much protein do you eat?" And you're like, "You don't want to know."
Yeah, because they're like, "Oh, you're like you shouldn't be eating that."
Yeah, like your kidneys, and it's like I am healthier than like the majority of the population. Like my nutritional protocols, like I eat good food. I mean, I will say the quality of meat could be better, but that's because financially I just can't afford fancy meat. Yeah. But like, I eat whole foods. I don't eat sugar. I don't I'm very good. I don't drink, right? So it's like, if you're going to get after me for the amount of protein I'm eating, like you can just screw off.
And even getting back to you're saying there's no protocol for whenever you come off the IUD, like say for instance, you have an alcoholic, if they're coming off drink, you don't just go completely cold turkey with them because they're going to become really unwell. So why would they not do that with somebody who's been on like birth control for many years? You know, you can't just go cold turkey with anything. It's just not healthy. Would that not be ringing bells to them as well?
Yeah. Well, so it's funny because like I had some urine testing done that I paid for last June. And then I went to my GP for some other stuff. But while I was in there, I also wanted to get some blood work done. And I was like, hey, I had a Dutch test done. My estrogen levels are in the tank. I'd like to test a bunch of things. Can we test a bunch of things? And she was like, oh, we don't need to do that. Like, we'll just send you in for this, this, and this. And then that'll tell us if your estrogen levels are actually low enough or like too low. And I was like, no. Like, I know enough to know that amount of blood work is not enough to know what's going on. So like, you're just brushing me off here and I'm not willing to be brushed off. So I will not take your help and I will go and seek out my own help because like, I don't like, this is not okay. Like what I'm experiencing is not okay. And
it's
what I'm actually digging into my own health measures. Like I am trying to do the homework myself so that I can be a better athlete, a healthier person, you know, like I can actually absorb nutrients that I'm eating because right now I don't.
Yeah.
And I would really like my skin to clear up. Like, so estrogen, I mean, really estrogen replacement therapy is just the pill.
Yeah.
Like that's really, really what it is. And like, we're allowed to do that because it's not considered like, you know, taking testosterone as a female is obviously not allowed.
Yeah.
But the thing is like taking hormonal replacement therapy is not the answer because what happens when you take that is that your body down regulates its own production. Right. So that's why we end up in a place where I am, where we have zero estrogen production because you've taken replacement therapies for 13 years.
Yeah.
And your body is just like, we don't need to make this anymore because we just have it fed to us. Right. And so, and the same thing with like testosterone. Like it's helpful to have replacement therapy protocols if you are in a place where your body is so low that you're dysfunctional. Right? Like you can help supplement these things for a certain period of time to get you back to functioning levels, 100%. And this is not medical advice. I would like to say that because I'm not a medical practitioner, but from my experience and from what I have learned, you know, you can have supplement therapies for short periods of time to get you back to functioning levels. But really what it comes down to is nutritional and lifestyle and nutritional protocols, both of those things to help to put your body back into a place where it is capable and able to produce the way it is supposed to. Right. And it comes from food, the types of food we eat, the qualities of food we eat, and also managing our lifestyle factors like stress and sleep and like even sex. Like, right. Like it's all of these things, they all play into each other and people like, it's a really big picture that we have to look at and paint. And like, that's like in my nutrition, you know, my nutrition coaching, like I know Jillian did this with you. You look at a whole bunch of different biofeedback markers, like, you know, not just amount of sleep, but like quality of sleep. You know, what's our libido like? You know, like, how are we feeling? How hungry are we? Because hunger is a hormone signal.
Yeah. Like, and the best thing Jillian got me started into was seed cycling. That there has been a complete life changing, like amazing. Like for all that you're taking, a couple of seeds in your porridge in the morning.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. I love it.
Sorry, I interrupted you there. Where were you going? Oh, what were you saying?
No.
Was that?
No, you didn't interrupt me.
I sometimes don't but interrupt, and it's a bad habit I have.
No,
but what else?
That's good. That was the end of my point there. So you didn't interrupt me.
That's okay. That's good. Yeah. I don't like the last couple of things I have here is fire questions. But I think I think we've gone through everything. We've talked about your powerlifting, your work, your life balance, work-life balance, recovery. Yeah, we've kind of covered everything, haven't we? There's nothing else that you would like to. Is there anything we've left out?
No, I mean, there's always lots to talk about because I have a lot of things I've done in my life. But no, I'm just here for you.
There's always a part 2 and a part 3, so don't worry. Favorite TV program?
Ooh, don't do a whole lot of TV, but can I go movie?
Yeah.
Okay, Monty Python and the Holy Grail, which is anything Monty Python. I love Monty Python.
Cool.
Yes.
Favorite band or singer?
Ooh, again, it changes.
Depending on your
I'm a
mood.
classic. I did listen to a lot. Classic rock is big. Country is really big.
Mm-hmm.
But like I grew up with classic rock with my dad. So like 70s, like 80s, 90s, classic rock is kind of my genre. But country's big. And I also listen to a lot of different like EDM dance music, just whatever
Yeah,
grooves
being a
me.
dancer, there's any whatever
Yes.
kind of
I
gets
would
you moving.
say I would say one of my longest lasting favorites, and I'm gonna say this only because I know it's gonna be very controversial for a lot of people, is Nickelback.
Nickelback.
Yes. A
Yeah.
lot of people, and I say that
Well,
because
I haven't
everyone's
heard
gonna
any
either
other
love me.
songs in years. I must I must go on YouTube later and type it in.
Everyone's gonna either love me or hate me for that answer, so that's why I'm gonna give that answer.
Cool. Favorite drink?
I love coffee, but
Coffee.
I definitely have like those little flavor squirters for water. I
Uh-huh.
really only drink water and coffee in the morning. Like it's just water. So
No Diet Coke or nothing like that.
nothing.
No.
No, just water.
God, I couldn't
Yeah.
live. At the minute, I'm actually going through an iron. You don't get it, I don't think, in Canada, but iron brew.
No,
Ever heard of that?
don't have
No.
that. No.
If you ever come to Scotland, it's originated from Scotland. It's called iron brew, and we get it over here in Ireland. It is. I know you don't like fizzy drinks, but if you're going to try one, try that.
Yep.
It's really nice.
Yep.
Yeah,
I'm a big water fan.
Yeah.
H2O. It's good.
Yeah. Your favorite meal?
My favorite what?
Meal?
Male?
That's my accent.
What do you call
What
it?
would you,
Yeah.
if you were eating, what would your go-to?
Oh, meal. My favorite meal.
Yeah.
I was like, what? I have a really awesome. I'm a meathead. Steak. I would say steak. Steak for sure. Yeah.
Mine's
I'm
with
a
steak, chips, and peppered sauce.
big. Nice. Yep. Love it.
Well, the next one, I know the answer to this one, but I'll ask it anyway. Tea or coffee?
Oh, coffee. Coffee. I'm trying. I have to get off the coffee train, but I will do decaf any day.
Oh, I know, like I must drink. At the minute, I'm drinking like 3 cappuccinos a day, and I shouldn't be drinking the cappuccinos because I know like the hidden calories and that whenever you heat up the milk and stuff, but they're just so good. They're so good.
I just have to cut the caffeine back, but I'll do decaf all day long. I love it.
Yeah. Oh, that's probably why I don't bloody sleep. I
Definitely
drink
gonna be part of
coffee
it.
at the wrong time of the day. I drink it like at 6 o'clock at night when I would go out to the coffee shops, and then I wonder why I can't sleep at night.
Yep.
Oh dear. That's actually one of the things Gillian told me. If I was going to do anything, don't drink coffee after 2 o'clock.
100%. 100%. She's right.
Your favorite holiday destination? This will be hard for you because you've traveled so many different places. Where would your favorite place be?
I want to spend a few months back in Thailand to do more scuba diving because I love scuba diving and being on the island out there.
That'd be class.
Yeah,
I'm not well traveled. I think the farthest I've been to America. I've been to Florida, to Disneyland when I was younger. But apart from that, like Spain is about the height of it. I need to do more traveling.
There's so much over there though for you guys. Like I loved Spain. I've done a bunch of Europe.
Yeah.
I loved Spain. I loved Italy. I loved Croatia. I had an incredible experience in Bosnia. But I love Thailand. I really want to go to Iceland. Iceland's my next big one. So I'll put that on there. I haven't been there.
One of the only reasons I want to go to Iceland is Sarah Sigmund's daughter.
Oh, that's awesome.
She's class. She's my my woman crush.
Oh, phenomenal. I love it.
Have you a bucket list and what would be on it?
Oh, wow. Okay, so I've done a lot of the things that I would immediately put up top there. But I want to cage dive with great white sharks while I'm in Australia.
Oh, that would be class.
I'm definitely going to be doing that.
Terrifying, but class.
Yeah. A lot of my bucket list is just places I want to go. So Iceland's on there. I want to come back and do more of like North Europe and Eastern Europe. I've done some of Eastern Europe, but I want to do more Greece. And I don't have a particular I just want to keep experiencing. I just keep adding places I want to go, and then when I get there, I'm like, let's do that. Whatever is the best, like the most exciting thing, let's just get her done. So I'm a bit of a yes man. I'm into it.
I'm laughing there because you said get her done. My sister's my sister-in-law's mother is they're all from Tennessee. So every so often, whenever I hear get her done, I just think of her. She's like, get her
That's
done.
hilarious. That's hilarious. No, I love it.
I already know the answer to this one as well, but I'll ask it early bird or a night owl.
Early,
Yeah.
100%. Sun goes down and
Your
I'm down.
favorite superhero?
Ooh. Superwoman. Let's
Yeah.
go with Superwoman. She's kick ass. I just like it. Kick ass.
Now this one, I don't know what fancy dress means in Canada, but over here it means like Halloween. So I asked this question to somebody from America, and she gave me a completely different answer to what I was expecting.
Yes.
So fancy dress, favorite Halloween outfit, or what would you go as for Halloween?
Mighty Mouse.
Mighty Mouse.
Mighty Mouse.
That's another thing I haven't seen in years too. God,
I did that actually a few years ago. It's great.
Did you?
Yeah.
Class. Your favorite gym day? So deadlift, squats, bench, whatever. What's
deadlifts.
your favorite?
Always
deadlifts. Yeah.
Always deadlifts.
Your favorite city?
God, I don't even know. I don't even know. Let me think. Granada, Spain.
Yeah.
Granada, Spain. I had just an amazing experience there. I think it was the people that I met there that really brought it together. But there's a lot. It's definitely like a lot in that list of places.
Your favorite other sport?
Horse riding or dance.
Riding, yeah. Your best and worst performance can be anything, like not even powerlifting.
Best performance was the meet that I just did.
Mm-hmm.
Or the dance competition I had in September. Both of those things were definitely phenomenal for me. Worst performance. I definitely like have a horse competition, like a riding competition that I think of a long time ago. And honestly, it wasn't even that I performed poorly. It was just that like my horse ended up like just having a hard no day and like threw me off over a jump on the cross country field and like bolted back to anyway. It was a very sad day. Because she was like, it resulted in some not great stuff after, but yeah, she was very sad after that and didn't want to jump anymore. And I was like, what? Anyway.
Let me see. So this one's, I suppose it probably could. Who's your greatest of all time powerlifter?
Oh Jesus. I've worked with some amazing. Oh God, that's such a hard question. Because there's a lot of people that I really appreciate. I don't think that there's any particular one person that I put on a pedestal.
Yeah.
I have worked with a lot of incredible names and seen some obviously incredible performances. Like I worked with Dan Green for a year and a half. Now he's a monster. He's a different kind of monster, but he's a great person and like psychotic at what he does.
Yeah.
I tend to gravitate more towards people with like whole person approaches.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't necessarily, like I don't really necessarily care what numbers people put up.
Yeah.
I want to know who they are as people. So that definitely dictates like a lot of my experiences and the people that I follow and the people that I support. Because like again, the numbers don't matter at the end of the day. I care what you do and what impacts you make. So there's definitely been some incredible, like when I competed at Boss of Bosses. Oh, you know who I love is Yuri. I love Yuri Balkin. Mm-hmm. He's amazing. There's a couple of like local women here that I love. One of them is Alora Griffiths. She's like just a phenomenal human being, and like she's been out of training for a little while because she's been busy with her business, but like really great. Some of the best. Jordan Shallow, incredible. He's again hasn't been competed for a long time, but like he's a good dude. I will say also, who else did I see? Jamal Browner. My coach Stu, freaking amazing dude. I'll give him a shout out again. Paul, another one of my coaches, Paul O'Neid. Deadlifters, when it comes to deadlifting, Konstantinov, it's amazing. Anyway, yeah, there's a bunch of names. I go by people. I mean,
Yeah.
I like, there's obviously a few of those people I don't know personally.
Yeah.
Like I do know Dan, I know Jordan, I know Alora, I met Jamal. But there are specific people who have been thrown off of my list very quickly, just because of interactions I've had with them that have been very negative.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that I love and support, and a lot of them are smaller names because I just think they're good people.
It's not about, as you say, what the numbers are left and all that. It's about how they impact your life.
Exactly, and how they treat other people around them.
Yeah.
Right. Like I want to know how you treat Joe Schmo on the side of the street. Like I want to know who you care about.
Yeah.
Because who you care about matters.
Definitely.
And that's how you make an impact in the sport. Right. So.
Yeah. Your favorite cheat meal?
Ooh, ice cream.
Mm.
Or my nonna makes specific cookies. My nonna makes cookies that I will just all day. So
my
nonna's cooking.
My granny sings scones, scone bread.
Yep. 100%.
The person you most admire?
My nonna. My nonna, I think, she's been through an incredible amount of hardship in her life. And until like recently, she's been a little bit more negative in terms of like just having a lot to complain about. And I think it's just age kind of. Yeah. But like watching her and like watching the things that she's gone through in her life and the work that she's put in and the hardships that she's gone through and like where my family like came from, literally living on the side of a mountain, to like me being a mechanical engineering graduate, like it's because of what she was willing to do for her family and her kids. So I really admire where she's come from and the work that she's put in, for sure.
Cool. Your favorite animal, and you're not allowed to say horses.
That's totally cool. I was always a really big cat person. Like you can see there's a picture of like lions on my wall here.
Oh yeah.
I've always been a big cat person. So like a panther.
Your favorite event?
Deadlifts for sure.
Yeah.
Everything's deadlifts. The answer is deadlifts.
Are you a summer or a winter person?
Ooh, I'm a seasons person. I like seasons. I like changing. I appreciate winter for a lot of things. Summer is nice though, because I don't like wearing many clothes.
That's all the questions.
Beautiful. Thank you. Well, I've really enjoyed this. So thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I hope I didn't keep you back. I hope I didn't keep you back for the rest of the day, because I've just realized the time and
no, we're good.
Like, hopefully you put in for a couple of hours.
Anyway. We're good. I'm headed to the gym after this, so it's all fine.
And it's actually light outside now from your window. Whenever we started, it was black. It is.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
It's bench day, so I'm going to go and press some stuff now. But it's been lovely to meet you, and I really appreciate you having me on, and all of the support that you give to me and everybody else in the industry, like in all of the just strong woman category. It's phenomenal. It's I really appreciate it. It's we need more, general support for women in strength. So it's great. Thank you.
Thank you for listening. Now don't forget to subscribe and ring that wee bell. Ding-a-ling.